Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dan and I've got my friend Joel here today. So
Hey.
Joel is a studio guy. He does live sound, and not only does he do that, he tours with the band doing their sound, but before they go on stage, he'll do a support artist set as well. And he is also FourthMan. So
That's
I
right.
don't know if you want to expand a bit on that for us, Joel.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Studio stuff. Here I am now in my studio. I've been producing records for artists and theatre companies and some advertising stuff as well. And for quite a few years, I've just always had in the back of my mind that I'd do my own thing. I never really got around to it, and eventually got around to it in 2018, I think.
Yeah.
And started releasing my own music as FourthMan. And it's been going pretty well since then.
Smashing it, mate. And then you do a bit of live stuff as well with me. And we had Ryan on, so his video is linked above here somewhere. And
Sweet.
If you haven't seen that already. And you now tour with them as their sound engineer, kind of taking over my role, which is awesome. I'm not bothered.
You're welcome.
And then you kind of did their European tour, didn't you? As their front of house guy. But you also, so most people do like front of house and production manager or front of house and tour manager. You thought you'd go the other way and go front of house and support artist.
And production manager.
Oh, and production manager. Oh, wow, a three-way split.
Mate, honestly, that was a really, really bad idea. It was amazing because I hadn't actually done any shows as FourthMan yet. So it was like the first time those guys were like, stop being an idiot and just open up our shows for us. And I was like, the gear is not ready. I want to have this gear and do this thing. And they were like, just do it. You and a laptop and a guitar, people will like it. So I sort of agreed to it. But some of the load-ins and the get-ins were just so crazy. We played in the Camden Assembly, which is a really cool venue. But we also took with us a massive video wall. I say massive, like 3x2 meters, I think, something like that.
Sure.
Or maybe 4x2. But it's up 3 flights of really narrow stairs, no lift whatsoever. So we loaded in that way, just like 3 of us. Yeah. And then got that just about ready in time for sound check. Did my sound check. Did the main act, did Social Being sound check, got that ready to go. And then switched over to did my sound check. And then did my show, and then did their show, and then had to drop the video screen because there was a 11 p.m. curfew or something for like a rave that was going on in the same venue. So I literally didn't actually sit down or stop from arriving in London in this venue to like actually sitting back down in the car afterwards. It was like exhausting.
Oh mate, did you drive them there and back as well?
Well, thankfully, Josh is the driver of the squad. He prefers to be at the wheel, so I'm like, you go for it, mate. So honestly, it was too much. But that said, I did a bunch of shows that I hadn't had the chance to do yet, and it was awesome. I played in Birmingham, Manchester, London, Stuttgart, Germany, Chemnitz in Germany, and Helsinki in Finland.
Sick,
and that was dream stuff. Really, it was amazing to open up for those boys who I love very much. To be fair, it was great.
I mean, incredible, really. You've gone from one extreme to the other.
Yeah, it was fairly extreme, but they were right. The boys were saying to me, "Don't miss this. It'd be silly to not do this."
Great opportunity, isn't it?
You know, I was just tired at the end of it. That was that was the worst thing that happened about it. You know, so opportunity taken, and I'm glad I did.
Good memories.
Yeah. Really good memories.
So obviously, we're going to do the same questions that we've done for everyone, but we're obviously going to have to try and mix in the artist aspect to it as well. So it could be quite an interesting perspective that you've got, because you can come at it from a technical side and from an artist side. Yeah, so do you want to go for how have you almost missed the deadline and how did you catch up kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking about this one. I got a production story for you.
Go for it.
I had flights booked for a holiday to Turkey. With my wife, we were getting away, which is always good. And I had just been working on a record for an artist, and they'd been dragging their feet a little bit and doing that creative thing that we sometimes do. And I'm just not feeling it this week. And I was like, I am flying on Saturday, no matter what happens. And it was crazy. So we were so close to having it finished, and I had it all ready to go.
Yeah.
I'd sent all the stems, like done all the mixes, and approved it with the artist, and sent it to the mixing engineer, and he got the stems at like 3-4 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah.
So then I get on the flight, get to Turkey, and my phone's going, and just one of the stems is missing.
Oh, mate.
But like doing the holiday properly, I'd left my laptop at home.
Yeah.
It was all on like backup hard drives, physical hard drives in England, and not on the cloud anywhere.
Get the mother-in-law to get the spare key out of her.
No, she was there. She was in Turkey.
Oh, really?
She was there. Yeah,
everyone was over there.
Well, thankfully, I did have one of my buddies like nearby who we gave a spare key to.
Yeah.
And I was able to talk him through getting in the house, getting in the studio, opening
Which
up
hard
this
drive
password,
it was.
this password, that password, and like what specific stem, and also like I name files so that I understand, but it's not necessarily like a stranger out of nowhere can understand. But yeah, we just about made that mixing deadline, and no one noticed, so we live to tell the tale.
Oh,
ridiculous.
Oh, mate, good effort. Well, what about a time that you misunderstood a brief?
Yeah, I thought about this as well. There's an incredible festival called Lost Village Festival in Lincolnshire.
Yeah.
It might be the edge of Nottinghamshire, actually. It's on that border anyway. And they had one particular little scene that they asked me to come in on for they have like live immersive theatre going on throughout the whole thing. It's incredible. Have a look on the internet. It's hard to explain.
Okay.
But they asked me to do like a circus piece of music, literally a piece of circus music.
Okay.
And I'm like I just thought, well, what do you think of when you think of circus music? For starters.
Is that what you did?
Exactly.
You just changed the key.
The no, it's like that's the first thing you think of is that like that, really like. Oh. But then they also part of the brief was like make it a bit creepy as well. So it's all a bit like
sinister,
not quite in tune and a bit creepy. Like if anyone's afraid of clowns, do not listen to that piece of music.
Is it on Spotify?
Oh,
is it out somewhere?
I don't think. No, I don't think. I think it was just for the specific show. Anyway,
that's a shame.
I sent it over like, here's my best weird circus, and they were like, sounds a bit circusy. I was like, well, yeah, we kind of said circusy, and it was just one of those where, all of these things with all the briefs, whether it's a live show or a studio thing, if you just got to develop a language with the client and with the person you're working with, and if you start throwing words around like vibes and cool, or
it's really hard
purple. To like, yeah, like what do you mean? Like what's vibey mean to you? Like what does creepy sound like to you? So yeah, it was. I think in that case, it was just like a miscommunication, like language wise. But since then, done some great music with that theatre company called Zest Theatre, actually. Zest. Amazing. Make sure you check them out. I'm going to talk a bit more about them later, actually.
Awesome.
In a further question.
No problem. I mean, do you like ask for reference tracks that they're kind of meaning, and then you can kind of work to that? Or are you very much against doing that kind of thing in the studio, where if you listen too much to, say they want like a Calvin Harris-y kind of thing, but they send you like 4 songs that are all pretty much identical, and then you listen to them, are you then kind of like, oh, I've just got to recreate this, and that takes away your creativity? You know what I mean?
It depends on the job. I think I am really keen on giving people what sounds like them, and what they're aspiring to sound like, and what they love listening to. So I usually get people to send me like a whole long list of like songs, artists they listen to, people they love, even like films they're into, or like just general stuff. Because if you try and get inside their head a little bit, I guess. Because if you can work out what's inspiring those people and what they're finding interesting, then I think it gives you a bit clearer picture. Most people don't want you to actually exactly copy anything either as well. It depends what you mean by what they mean by reference track. Sometimes they like, I've made a song in the style of this person.
Yeah.
But generally, people want to sound like themselves and something original.
They might be like, oh, I love this synth on this part of this song.
Yeah. And at that point, I'll try and work out what that synth's doing and what kind of sound it
make
is.
Something similar.
Yeah, how I can recreate it or incorporate that sort of thing into a song. The other thing is also like on a self-awareness thing that I find myself as well, passing mixes on to other people.
Sure.
Often some of these songs that like we love the sound of might not be anything like what we wrote.
Yeah.
You know, so it's hard to, you know, you can't, if people say like, oh, I want a Coldplay vibe or something.
Yeah.
And they wrote a death metal song, you're going to struggle with that extreme example, but you know what I mean? Yeah.
That's cool, man. Obviously, the intro music on this DBA YouTube channel is your music. So lovely music there. I love it. And got you to write that for me. I love that. I think I voice noted you one night while I was on a festival. There's a video that's got me mixing. And it's on that gig that I was messaging you during it, just being like, hey man, I'm going to start this YouTube thing. Do you know about like making music and making like a little intro sting for it? I've seen your FourthMan thing. And you're like, oh yeah, what inspires you? And it was like, oh, wow, I love, like, I've got a few of my inspirations behind me actually. So I've got like
nice
Muse and like Demon Hunter on the other end of the spectrum, and
heavy
Steve Lukather and like Beingz Francis. And
Steve Lukather, you badger.
Beingz Francis actually is Mike Loretto's old band. Little fun fact for you there.
I love Mike Loretto.
Yeah. Like Led Zeppelin and Toto and stuff are up here as well, and Jesus Culture. And
wow.
It's like I gave you a massive range, and what came back was amazing. So thank you for that.
Oh no, it's my absolute pleasure, mate. I love what you're doing with the channel and all that, and I just thought if I can contribute a little bit to it, why not?
I mean, this is definitely more of a contribution. I'm enjoying this as well.
Oh, well, this is fun.
Do you want to describe your most exciting audio project? So maybe like your biggest gig, your most fun gig. That could be from like FourthMan kind of gig, or Joel Atkins behind a SanDisk kind of gig.
Yeah, well, I thought about this, and I was thinking probably the most interesting way it kind of crossed over all the worlds, as in production and live sound and composition and creating music. There's mentioned before a theatre company called Zest Theatre, who make just incredible immersive pieces of theatre that you have to really go to it to understand.
Sure.
I got to work with those guys and their director Toby on a show called Thrive, which I think is behind me. Yeah, can you see
the
back
black
there?
One, or the orange one.
There it is, the black one. That's the flyer for it. That's how proud I am of it. We devised this show basically. There's an amazing cast and crew, and the show it was for young people dealing with like loss and heartbreak and how people move through it in different ways. And there was three characters, and so the brief was basically we had to create a soundtrack. The same soundtrack that would run alongside that would run in three different areas of the same space the whole time.
Okay.
So we had like quite an angry young lad, we had quite an artsy girl, and we had like a really quite another shy lad who was a bit more insular and introverted.
Yeah.
But all in the same place with their own soundtrack.
Yeah.
So we had three soundtracks running within one soundtrack. All had to match up timing wise, had to match up musically, key wise, and had to be along the same sort of theme the whole time, which was a pretty crazy thing to do. So we ended up doing compositionally it was fascinating because I sort of had to make the track as a whole and then split it down into three segments. So like keeping like the drums elements and the sort of distortion sounds like in this sort of corner of the angry actor. And then keeping the ethereal stuff. So if you stood in the middle of like a triangular set, then you were going to get the whole sound experience. So we were running, I think we had E9s on sticks around the outside of the performance space. So it was a whole immersive thing. So the audience would be in and amongst the actors. Yeah. It was like on the tour, it would go in all the black box theatres around the UK. And so you'd have like set in a triangle, all on ladders, with ladders flying everywhere. You have to have a look at it. The visual's amazing. I'll send you the
I'll throw a picture in there.
Yeah, I'll throw you that. And so we're just running QLab, I think, with an interface running out the 3 different channels at the same time. But creating that show with those guys was so exciting and mind blowing and boggling at the same time, because if during the final bits of rehearsals, whatever, we're like, this character needs to walk over here, for 20 seconds longer, then that means I've got to go back to everyone's session, change 20 seconds of music to think, and because it's theatre, it's not necessarily like music in bars the way that it is in terms of like listening to like gigs music, because it's often like add a bar here, take a bar out. It's more like take away 3 seconds. It's like, well, how can I musically take away 3 seconds? So compositionally that was a massive challenge, and then creatively in a live situation for the actual tour, to design the system to make that run. I mean, fairly straightforward QLab system.
Yeah. Do you do it left and right, or did you kind of do loads of matrices and aux sends to send everything separately, zonally around the room? And
it was 3 different zones. I used aux sends. I think I had each actor had a speaker either side of their performance space, so that it fired into the middle. And I think I sent 3 channels out on auxes. And it was a smash. Yeah, it went really well. I'm sad that the tour's done. It was a couple of years back now, I think. Maybe it'll tour again. Maybe it won't. Maybe humans will be allowed in theatres again.
Oh, mate, I know. I mean,
I sincerely hope really soon and get the theatres back.
I mean, my wife's a duty manager at the theatre in Manchester, so I'm feeling your pain.
There you go,
she's stuck. I mean, she's pregnant anyway, so it's not like she's going on maternity leave in a month or so. Thank you. But obviously she's been furloughed, and like it's looking likely that all theatres are going to be kind of shut now till spring 2021. It's just crazy.
Wow, man. I mean, there's questions to be had, isn't there? And we need that government support for all the venues and the theatres and the live gigs and all that. But you don't need me to tell you that. You know all about that.
Far too well read up on it, unfortunately. Crazy times.
Yeah, mad times.
Should we move on to how you do stage versus studio?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe look at like different gain structures, different mics you'd use, plugins and stuff. Whatever you want to go
sure.
through.
Sure. Well, the main difference is the approach, I guess. Where, I mean, you kind of have to be 2 different people in the studio. Generally got slippers on, which sets the tone for quite relaxed, quite chilled. We've got a bit of time. I mean, I'm keen on hitting deadlines still, but there is like the relaxing thing. Whereas on a live show, the doors are opening at 7 or whenever, and it's happening right now, and it's got to work. So I think the mentality is like the first thing that's very very different, and you have to completely switch off whichever side of your brain that is. Often in my experience of touring live sound, I'm almost never touring a desk. So literally every single venue could be 2 nights in a row in 2 different countries with social beings, and be a completely different desk, or even the same desk completely set up a different way. I've had
that a few times.
It's crazy. Like, I think that's one of the pros and cons about some of these digital surfaces, is that you can do the weirdest routing.
That makes sense to the one guy who set it up, who left that job 3 years ago.
And he's flipping in Bavaria having a warm beer right now, while I'm in Stuttgart trying to work out why the Dickens reverb is routed via his grandma's basement. I think that trying to work out that stuff is way more like a on the feet, on the fly sort of momentary thing, where you just got to deal with what's in front of you and somehow make it happen.
Yeah, man.
I think that's part of the thrill of it as well, though. I think there is an adrenaline rush from like the lights go up and there's a crowd and song 1 starts and it sounds great, looks great. That is like a proper buzz for me.
Yeah.
I love that moment. Or my favourite thing is on the last song. Because you're like, we made it to the end, yes!
Just the one encore song to go.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, wow, okay, we got through it.
Yeah. I was thinking about this last night, actually. Some of the gigs I've done recently, you like power through, like you've said before, power through. And then you get to like the end of the gig and it's like, oh, it's all over. And then you're like, quick, we need to pack it all down. It's like, oh, I wish we could just take like an hour just chill in this like post-gig euphoria, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that is one of the very luxurious things about touring with a band who aren't flying their own PA and stuff. That is a massively luxury moment when, like I say, when we're in Germany or somewhere and we finish the show and I could turn around and shake everybody's hand and say, thanks so much.
Amazing.
Lovely to meet you. Lovely to meet you. See you soon.
I'll take my laptop with me. Pack up my laptop charger.
Two laptops. How dare you?
Good job. Oh, that's cool. Like when I was, I did a little tour with the Osmonds. I was
nice.
audio too, and I kind of made it my role to try and. So obviously we were touring, but we weren't touring a desk at the time. I kind of made it my role to make a show file for each desk that we came across. So we came across like GLDs, iLives, Digico, Midas's. Try and make A1 front of house's position as easy as possible by making a load of show files beforehand, which sometimes is amazing. It worked out well, and sometimes the firmware on the actual desk wasn't what they had emailed through, and it was a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, of course.
But I guess there's always a use having the USB there with it all on, but sometimes it wasn't always useful.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting to the stage now where I want to tour my own desk. I don't know about you. Take one around that inside out.
Yeah, that I would love that for Social Beingz show for sure. I think some of the extras that we're trying to push are quite hard to spring on, even with a rider up front. Quite hard to spring on some of the in-house.
Yeah, you're using Wavestream real time now as well and stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, well, not necessarily the text. Sorry, not slandering the text. I mean, like the actual venues. Sometimes they're not set up to handle the thing. Like for example, we got to one place in Chemnitz and amazing venue, but the desk was almost like completely built in with no access to the back of it. So stuff like that would be completely avoided if we had like our own desk with us, with waves on it, and anything else that we fancy. Yeah,
man. Well, I mean, hopefully can facilitate that in the future. I mean, not quite there yet.
Keep talking. Yeah, man. Well, that's the thing. Like the Waves tune thing is actually a really cool part of the sound of what these guys do. Like I love the auto-tune rap sound thing that they do, and they do it really, really well on their records. And the crowd love it, so we need to deliver that to them in a live way if we can. And it is working well when we have the time and the extra setup available with the local crews and whatever. But our own desk in that situation would actually be great.
Nice one. Should we move on to a time you've had to think on your feet and how did that go and all that kind of jazz?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I sort of already mentioned that. I mean, like, I feel like every gig is thinking on your feet.
Every damn day.
It's the added extra with Social Beingz tour in Europe a lot, and the added extra is just the language barrier, where these guys and girls are usually amazing at English, but sometimes like there'll be a weird technical word for something they use that we don't. Where I'll be saying I would like the aux set up this way, and they were like, "Oh no, you don't want it set up this way."
Yes, I really would.
And I'm like, no, I really, really would. Yeah, it's trying to work out like why are we having this like fight. I guess it's always thinking on your feet. I can't think of a specific example. Sorry to let you down. Sorry to the fans, but it is in general a thinking on your feet experience, and I think that is a major difference between the studio and live. Because in a studio, you can be like, well, I'll just export it to my phone, go for a drive in the car, and maybe have a listen, see how that sounds, and then
have a day off.
A new idea,
come back to it tomorrow. Day off.
Day off?
Days off.
How dare you?
Work on a different project for a day.
We need the days
tomorrow.
off.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Politically correct response there.
Oh man, we need days off. Humans need days off. Write that down, people.
I mean, there's this like culture in the live events industry that if you haven't been working for like 48 hours straight and stuff, it's almost like you're not worth knowing. And if you've probably come across it with like the local crews and stuff, they're like, "Oh, we're living the dream. Been up since 4. This is my third shift today. I'm going to go home, get 2 hours sleep, and I'm going to be up at 4 again tomorrow." It's just like, I mean, that's dream. It's not the correct kind of dream, in my opinion.
Mate, it sounds glamorous and it sounds rock and roll, but it's just it's so unhealthy. It's so bad for us, like mental health as foremost. It's really bad idea for that, and then like physical health, which I guess they're two really closely linked. If you're not getting decent sleep and you're not getting decent rest, then it's going to be harder to like look after your own mental health as well. I wish that culture didn't exist. Yeah, we need to bin that culture.
Well, hopefully, I think we're on day 68 personally of this lockdown, and
wow, yeah.
So he's kind of started it a bit early, but hopefully, like this time of everyone having a forced reset, will hopefully maybe get rid of that culture a little bit. That'd be nice.
Yeah, completely. I was having this conversation with the wonderful Hannah Fletcher on BBC Introducing Lincolnshire.
Link above, from below.
I am a Lincoln boy. Link below. Link boy, link below. There we go. Yeah, and we're having the same thing where like most of the actual world is now like forced to like rethink how they do life, and there is actually an opportunity in a positive way to like, what do you want to come back to? Like, what do you want to make a normal thing? Like, I'm experiencing loads more time with my family, and that is worth more than boasting about how much sleep you didn't get.
Yeah.
It just is so much worth more. You're never, ever going to get to the end of your life and think, oh, I wish I'd had less sleep.
I wish I'd pulled more cables and set up more PAs around the world. Yeah.
You're not. You're going to wish you like had more time with your children or your other half or like whatever. That's just how it's going to be. So, yeah, that's my little soapbox rant about that one.
That's completely true. Completely true. Should we move on to how... Is there anything in particular that you would do differently when setting up a gig? So like show files or setting up mics first or anything like that?
Well, yeah, actually, in terms of the desk, I came from studio stuff before I actually got into live stuff. So I like to set up the live desk, how I like to set up my sessions. And I like to be quite dynamic with effects and stuff on the live show, so I'll have my returns on a fader on the live show, so that I can ride them, which is often the opposite way around. Some people prefer to like send. Yeah,
I'll leave my return delay at 0, and I'll ride the send. So then you've always got.
Yeah.
That's how I just do it. That's how I do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you do it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and I think I've always been the other way around, where I like to have the sends at 0. And then I'm just going to hit the crowd with a little bit of that extra word, or not sure what's happening here, but that's kind of like the difference. I'd set it up. I think it's like where I came from, a comfortable sort of studio side. I think it's just how applying that over to the live.
Oh, man. Nice.
Yeah.
What about difficult clients? How do you deal with them? I'm assuming you get like difficult in such a difficult sort of in the studio world, like we've kind of mentioned with like not quite understanding what they mean, more vibey and stuff.
Yeah, with the language. Yeah. Yeah, difficult client. I literally think everybody is like one skipped lunch away from being a difficult client. I honestly think like everyone has got the potential for like a traffic jam to turn them into a difficult client, or like I think everyone's people in the end of the day. People are people, as in people just want a show to go well. People want their brand or their outfit to be represented well. So you're sort of dealing with people's their reputation a little bit and their public persona, how people see them. So difficult clients, I guess a lot of the time is a lot of lip biting and sucking it up a little bit. I think often when people are shouting at you or stressing towards you, they probably don't mean that they hate you as a person. They probably just mean that they want to get their show right. And I think I have had people really turn up on me. I remember a client, obviously I won't mention any names this one. But there's a time when some part of the show hadn't been sent with the company that I was working for. And it turned out that they just hadn't asked for it. But they just had a really bad day, and we were like 2 hours into the countryside at like 8 p.m. on a Friday.
Really, that is there.
And they wanted a really specific piece of technical gear, and I was the guy saying, I'm really sorry we can't. It's not possible. And they were the person like at
over
me
the
like
phone
I was the problem.
Face.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, in real life, yeah, to my face in front of lots of people, and since then, like, kissed and made up, so it's all right. But yeah, I think it is separating people's stress for the job from how they feel about you personally. I think that's the important thing, like a level of self-awareness. Yeah. I think that's the best way to do it, and doing your best to help them out. I mean, like, if you're being paid to make a show happen for someone, then you better try and make the show happen. Yeah, I've seen some really terrible attitudes with people before, and it's like the artist or the company like owes you something for being there, like, but it's like something's gone wrong, like flipped the wrong way around. Like I'm gracing you with the opportunity to
gracing you with my presence.
It's like, wow, no, like, yeah, I guess it needs a bit of humility and just be like, well, appreciate being here, appreciate that this will get some food on the table, pay some bills, and let's try and make it work, even if you're being really annoying.
Oh, I'm definitely guilty of that, sadly, a few times.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing with all of us not doing this sleep and not enough sleep and all that we talk about. It's a recipe for disaster, really.
Very true. Is there anything like, so obviously you do Social Beingz sound check, and then you were kind of jumping up onto stage to do your own sound check. So you kind of had like the house engineer was doing your sound check as the support artist. Was there like a bit of a clash between you and him, where he was like, oh, well, this guy knows what he's doing because he's doing headline audio, but now he's on stage trying to tell me what to do in terms of how to mix his wedges and stuff, or in his?
Yeah, I learned that the hard way, actually, this one. This was really difficult for me because I can understand both ways around that, you know, when you or I are mixing an artist, we could make or break a crowd's opinion on them as a band. We could if we get it wrong so badly that they could just go away thinking that band sucks. Where it could have been us. I mean, it'd never be me or you, obviously, but and so I think as an artist, I really care about how I sound, you know, and how I come across. And yeah, I mean, it's so important to me. I spend so many hours and so many years like working on my sound and trying to craft it and trying to make it sound as good as possible that I really don't want it to like go flat or just not be right on the night. So it was a difficult one that on that tour specifically because there wasn't really the budget for me to hire another me, because then I'd just I'd be away for a few days and come back with having not earned anything. So I was trusting in-house guys and girls, and honestly, I think 6 shows there was like probably half and half that I was like, wow, I'm really glad you're here. This is sounding great. And another 3 where I was like, oh my gosh. I think part of it has to do with appreciation of the style of music and what you actually want. And if you've never heard my music before, or you might not like it, and it might not be your thing or whatever. And so I think it's quite an ask to get them to represent it how I would specifically have it if I was mixing the crowd. The dream scenario would be to mix.
I mean,
my own
it's
live
sort
show.
of possible now with like iPad apps and stuff, and you could like monitor left and right in your in-ears rather than your own wedge send. But
I mean, it's daft really because there's it's a daft dream because there's so many actually great engineers that could actually mix my live show, and so since then I have been hiring said great engineers to come along and do shows for me. And that makes me feel so much more confident as an artist because I know A, those people like my music, B, they like me, and they're up for it. So like we're quite a team, and I think I'm saying this probably. I think I'm probably quite helpful as an artist with my technical understanding as a front of house guy because I'm setting up things the way I'd like it to be. So I'm trying to make it an easy experience for those guys. I mean,
Dave's an absolute legend. He's one of my inspirations. He's going to be on this show in a week or so. There's a link above. Yeah, there's a link Dave above Lambeth. Now. Unless you obviously watch it before that one's come out. If you have not seen it, go watch that one.
Yeah, man. I mean, I really, really love that guy. He's great. You're all going to meet him next week.
Whenever I've edited it all.
Legend.
All that jazz. Hi guys, thank you for watching this video with Joel. This is part 1. If you click that bottom right hand corner, it will let you know when part 2 comes out. Like Joel is an amazing guy, amazing human. He's sound for Social Beingz. If you haven't checked out Ryan from Social Beingz video, there's a link up here right now. Otherwise, it's been great to have you here. We'll see you again in another video, guys. Cheers.